our next speaker brings both heart and strategy to the art of connection. Magic Washington is the head of community at HuCapital, an AI-powered professional network that transforms personalized online connections into lasting, real-life relationships. With a background in talent acquisition, Magic has a unique perspective on how to design communities that connect people with the right opportunities. She's led high-impact events with hundreds of attendees, built content that empowers professionals to thrive, and is passionate about closing gaps in access, knowledge, and networks. In this session, Magic will share her own journey into community and how your skills, story, and network can help you pivot, grow, and open doors to your next big opportunity. So please join me in welcoming Magic Washington. Magic, you've got some fans in the chat.
Hello, can you guys see me? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, you look and sound great.
Amazing. Beth, thank you so much for having me. I've actually been tuned in all day and the sessions have been amazing. Yes, I've been passively listening in as I've been doing work, and the sessions have been really, really good. I'm really excited to be here.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I've been so curious to know how many people are here right from the beginning. And do you think we're going to have people who do the full 24 hours? Like, no, surely not.
No, maybe. Can everyone see my screen?
We can. Take it away. Have fun.
Perfect. Well, before we jump in, I kind of want to get a feel of where is everybody tuning in from? I am from New York City. So just kind of drop in the chat what state you're in, what country. I know this is a global summit. So good morning to some of you, good afternoon to some of you, and maybe good night to some of you. So let's kind of get in the chat. Where is everyone tuning in from? Let me see. Where's everybody tuning in from? Canada. Okay, Canada. Nice. Do we have anybody else in here from New York? There we go. All right, New York, Ohio, nice. Australia, California. Okay, everybody is in here. So like Beth mentioned, my name is Magic Washington. I am from New York City. I am the head of community for HuCapital, which is a community-first AI-powered platform. We are connecting builders and creators to all things community, events, and strategic insights. So I'm kind of going to be taking a different tune with my presentation, just kind of talking more about my journey and how I even got into community. There was a session earlier where a young woman mentioned no one really wakes up and decides that they're going to get into community. I think a lot of us have just kind of stumbled upon this based on the different trajectories of our career. So I'm excited to share with you all more about that. And so I'll just kind of be talking about my pivot, how we've built community at HuCapital, how we monetize our events, and then also the team behind who has helped me put all this together. So I kind of want to start off talking about change. So 35% of workers worldwide are considering a job switch in 2025. And I think that just speaks to the pivot in which we've all been noticing across multiple industries. So drop a 1 in the chat if you're currently pivoting into maybe community work or a different career, or kind of drop a 2 in the chat if you're looking to really grow within your career. Let's see which end of the spectrum we have with us today. Lisbon, nice, welcome. Let's see, who do we have? Do we have any pivoters, or do we have any people that are looking to grow? I'm excited to see who we have with us here today. Okay, 2, we have a lot of people that are looking to grow within their career. Nice. Okay, amazing. So I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about my pivot. So a lot of people actually don't know, but I started my career in tech sales. So my background was in tech sales. I used to sell legal software to lawyers through a UK company called Leap Legal. So then from there, I transitioned into talent acquisition, where I've recruited in tech, I've recruited in finance, I've recruited in the healthcare space. So I've recruited across a lot of different industries. And then now, most recently, I am head of community for a tech startup that I founded with a few friends. Shout out to our CEO. She's in the chat. Her name is Jaleesa Fontaine. Thank you all so much for being here. And one of the things that I've noticed amongst all of these 3 roles was that there were several traits that I was able to transfer into each role. And so we're going to look at these skills that carried me over. So just looking at tech sales, one of the main things that is important in sales is you have to have that art of persuasion. You have to be able to convince people why they should purchase your product. And now, how did that directly translate into talent acquisition? Well, candidate influence. And I always tell people, recruiting is sales. I'm just not selling a service or a product. I'm selling a role, right? I'm convincing you why you should work for me over all of the other companies in the world. And now how has that transcended over into community building, audience engagement, right? Whether it's in real life, whether it's online, you have to kind of know how are you going to influence and, make people trust you. And then going down to strategic prospecting, right? How am I even finding the clients to reach out to? That's pretty much the art of prospecting when it comes to sales. And now how that transitions over to talent acquisition, sourcing. How am I finding the candidates that I want to bring into my organization? It's a one-to-one direct correlate. And then when we think about community building, relationship building, how am I finding the people that I either want to partner with or that I want to attend my events? And then just going down to closing discussions. Now I have to close the deal when I'm working in sales. Furthermore, I have to close the deal when I'm working in recruiting. So how am I negotiating these offers, right? Because I always tell people recruiting is a two-way street. I'm interviewing you the same way you are interviewing me to make sure that this is even a place that you want to work at. And then we talk about strategic partnerships. Who are these partners that I'm working with as I'm building community, whether it's hosting events, whether it is gaining sponsorships, so on and so forth. And then lastly, performance tracking. What KPIs am I being, marked on, and what am I kind of just taking a look at? And then furthermore, hiring analytics. How many people have I reached out to? How many people have gotten back to me? How many people have I hired in X amount of time frame? And then furthermore, that goes into community impact. Who do I have in my community? What do they look like? What do they do? At what stage are they in their career? So I say all this to say that anytime you're looking to either pivot into a different role or maybe even grow, there are so many transferable skills that you have available to you that you probably don't even notice how they transcend over. So I would love to actually get a feel in the chat just really quick. What are some of your top transferable skills or some of your super skills, if you're not, necessarily going to switch, that you utilize in your current role today? I would love to get a feel of whether that is organization, whether that is connecting. I think everyone in community knows that you have to be a connector in order to really get the community going. So we'd love to see some of those skills dropped in the chat. Let's see what we have. Stakeholder management. Yep. Amazing, Catherine. Thank you so much for sharing. A very, very much important one. Amazing. And so skip the slide. Now I'm strategic thinking, Jacques. I see translating technical product updates. Definitely another important trait that we have, relationship building for sure. So now that I've just finished speaking about a lot of the transferable skills. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the skills that I had to develop as I really pivoted and solidified my spot in the community space. So one of those things is event production and logistics. So one thing that HuCapital really did, we kind of took a different approach where we built community first around events. And then we kind of built community through our product and our platform. So another skill I had to develop was email marketing and newsletters, community platforms, just realizing which ones are, the way to go. Social media campaigns, just strengthening that skill. I had a little bit of knowledge in that before, but really strengthening that as I came onto the community side of things. Team management, leading a team was completely new to me, right? So going kind of from like that IC route to going on to lead a team was a new skill that I had to pick up. And then cross collaborating with teams. Not only am I dealing with my events team, I'm also working with the marketing team, and with our product, I'm working with the tech team. So there are a few different teams that I had to connect with. And so, like I mentioned, we took a long time building community around events. So the events is really what sparked the engagement, but then taking it online is what keeps it alive, right? So one of the things that we do is we host really large scale events. So one of our main events is an event called HuLane. It's a traffic light themed networking mixer that takes a play on a traffic light party. So every color of the traffic light represents a different industry. And what we do is we give attendees color-coded wristbands and name tags just to make a connection a lot more intentional. We do find that a lot of people come to events and they're always confused. Well, who's in the room? How do I know who to connect with? So we really work on just making that a lot more intentional. And then when we think about post-event engagement, how are we keeping our attendees engaged? And it's really through social media, so think of like Instagram, and then also email marketing. So our newsletter, we're constantly sending resources and links to other community partners events, so on and so forth. And aside from these large events, we also host smaller scale virtual workshops, so panels, so on and so forth. So something that I think a lot of people don't really give a lot of insight to is how are they monetizing these events, right? So some of the strategies that we have used at HuCapital to really monetize at our events pre-event, so just thinking like tickets, is we've done group sales, right? So a lot of people will feel more comfortable buying a ticket to an event knowing that they'll get a discount for bringing a +1 or a +2 with them. So group sales, we've definitely seen that be super effective. Early bird tickets, of course, we all know there's always discounts when you purchase early, like Beth just mentioned. Make sure you get your tickets to the upcoming conference. This is the cheapest that it's going to be. So there's always incentives for buying things early, and that also drives sales. And then partner discounts, right? We've partnered with a lot of different community groups that we have relationships with, and we give them discounts to our event. And what they do in turn is they either promote the event, or something we've also done is given them a revenue share. So they really have an opportunity to earn while they're also promoting. And something that we also do internally is we've also had team competitions, right? So sometimes we have the team kind of go up against each other. Let's see who can sell the most tickets, who can just sell the most tickets and who can drive the most engagement. And then we usually give like a little internal prize internally on the team. So those are just a few fun, creative ways that we have monetized through our events. And I would actually love for you all to, if you host events through your community, right? I'd love to hear some of the ways that you all drive revenue through your events, whether it's through tickets or anything. And then just kind of taking it a step further, as you are dropping those in the chat, we also monetize Onsite and post-event, right? So thinking about merchandise, we've sold merch at our events, and that's another big driver of revenue at our events. Ad placements, just really getting people to, or businesses to purchase ad placements, whether it's their logo on a screen or they're promoting their business through one of our events, one of our panels. That has really helped drive revenue as well. Vendor booths, really being able to have different partners and groups and communities and companies show up at the event, and that also drives engagement and creates an amazing experience at the events. Bar guarantees, we've partnered with different venues. So we don't typically buy out venues for our events. What we usually do is we negotiate a guarantee with the bar where we guarantee that we will make X amount of money at the bar. And in turn, once that amount is met, we usually receive revenue share from that. So that's another way that we've generated revenue through our events. And then of course, sponsorships, and then exchange for different types of data, promotion marketing, so on and so forth. And then just taking it a step further, thinking about feedback, right? And so many community leaders here today have spoken a lot about feedback and just how it's important. So I'm happy that we kind of all share that same similar mindset just in terms of the importance of it. And so the loop that we typically go through, at least through our events, is post-event, we'll send out a survey, and whether that's through Google Forms, we've sent out forms through Notion, Airtable. Also happy to hear that a lot of us are using a lot of the same tools. We typically sync up with our team, evaluate what are some of the feedback that a lot of people have post events. And funny enough, some of that feedback is actually what led us to creating HuCapital, the actual platform. Because if you would have told me 2 years ago when we started throwing events in 2023 that HuCapital would be a full-on tech company, I'd be doing this full time, I might have looked at you like, huh? And then of course we take that feedback internally through the team, and then we use that to enhance the attendee experience through our events. So that's just a little bit of how we typically structure our feedback loops. And what that has gotten us to realize is that 9 out of 10 attendees report feeling more connected through our events. I cannot tell you how many people reach out to myself and my team letting us know they got a job opportunity from going to an event. They've started a business with someone that they met at our event. Some people have even came to our events and found their partner. So there are just so many different ways for people to connect through these networking events. And it has truly been amazing to witness. Our engagement on social media has skyrocketed since we started throwing events back in 2023, around 75%. And then that has also led us to having 10,000 plus active members across social media, emailing, and so much more. So that's just a little bit of what we've been able to do using the feedback that we received from our events. And for anyone here that is either looking to start their own community or looking to grow within the community space. So, okay, Jessica, I see you met your partner through a convention. See, people are constantly meeting all types of people through many different ways. So some of the techniques that you can use for, building your community are hosting engaging virtual workshops like the one we're sitting in here today. Like I mentioned, we've done workshops, virtual panels, all types of events. And I think really the key is to just make it very engaging. You never want to feel like anyone is just talking at you for 30 to 45 minutes. You want to make sure that you're engaging, whether it's through polls, whether it's through Q&A, whether it's through the chat function. And then also just planning intentional events. So some of the main events, I mentioned the main event that we do being that HuLane event, but we also host the Women's Conference every March. It's called Winning Women. It's a leadership management and wellness conference. We host a men's event. It's called Men Deserve Flowers. It's a men's wellness community fair. We're actually hosting an event this October if you're going to be in New York City. It's called HuCapital Innovation Week. And think of it as of like a New York Tech Week, where every day we're going to focus on innovation across multiple industries. And it'll start off with a fireside chat, and then we'll transition into a vibe coding workshop. So think of like a no code situation where people that don't necessarily have the background are able to still grow and create. And then digital platforms. There are so many different platforms that you can use to house your community. I know some people use Bevy, some people are using Slack. We are housing our community in the actual HuCapital platform. Nina mentioned you haven't seen anyone talk about community moderation yet, but super important to set up things to remove spam. Of course, 100%. That is so important. I +1 you there. And so just keeping it going, doing it together, right? There's no way that I would have been able to do this by myself. And actually, the CMX report back in 2023 states that only 27% of community professionals say that they have sufficient resources and support to actually do their jobs effectively. So me knowing that coming into this, there was no way in the world that I was even going to attempt to try to just do all of this by myself. So some of the key players on my team, obviously I have myself, head of community. I have an events operations manager, someone that really keeps things going from a project management standpoint, all the way to on-site, designing layout, just making sure we are all together. Events marketing manager. Okay, we have the events, but what is the strategy when we're going live? How are we getting people in the room? What are the different tactics that we're using? A very, very important key player on my team. And then a community and events intern. We usually like to have an intern on the team just to kind of teach them what we're doing, have them handle one-off tasks that we don't necessarily have time to handle. Because myself as head of community, I'm constantly in meetings, I'm pitching, I'm working on how to get us sponsorships for our events, so on and so forth. So I do want to kind of ask everyone in the chat, who do you work with on your team when it comes to community engagement? Whether that is maybe you're head of community, I want to know, who do you have on your team? Is it just an events operations manager? Is it a marketing manager? Is it an intern? Is it just you and you're really working with your product team? Are you really close, tight knit with your marketing team? I really kind of want to get a feel of who do you have on your team and who can you ultimately just not live with? Some people are a one-man band and maybe they're just working really closely with their CEO, their COO. I think whatever it is though, I know that that person is probably somebody that you really heavily lean on, because again, community work is a lot of work. I don't think a lot of people realize that. And so many people have mentioned that today. So I think a lot of us are +1 that statement, but there is no way that we would be able to get through and just get by doing it all by ourselves. So definitely drop in the chat how you doing. And see, Beth is the anomaly. Okay, I will tell you that, because I have been watching this woman work the last couple of weeks and she is a beast. So shout out to you for doing that all by yourself. Now, I know we have 7 minutes left, so I do want to leave some time for Q&A, but I did want to thank you all, one, for kind of joining me. If you want to keep up with myself or just learn anything more about HuCapital, you can follow us on Instagram. Our website is HuCapital.co, and you can also find me on LinkedIn at Magic Washington, and I'll also just drop some of these links in the chat. Now, we did just recently launch our beta platform for HuCapital. So if you are interested in just seeing what it's all about and learning more about HuCapital, please feel free to scan the QR code and sign up and just kind of see and learn more about the platform. I see some notes in the chat. Jessica mentioned her last team was just her, a PR manager, and a CMO, and she's currently unteamed, though. You're currently unteamed as you look for work. Completely understand. Definitely wishing you luck as you navigate that journey. And then Roxanne says, on her team, she has a community manager and a community specialist, and they work with the product owners and marketing and others across the business, depending on the topic of function. Literally, +1 that, like I mentioned, really stepping into this role really just showed me the importance of working with the tech team, even when it comes down to something as simple as creating a registration form and thinking about the type of questions that we're asking. It's super important to have those cross-functional relationships and collaborations going. I know we have 5 minutes left. Nina, write me on LinkedIn. Find me. Looking to work with more communities. Find me. So I'm happy to take any questions as we have only 5 more minutes left. If you want to know anything, just let me know.
I love what Carolina said. I'm going to record you saying that we can't do anything alone. Do it alone. It's like, yeah, show my manager what that looks like. I mean, that's a good segue because I have a couple of questions, and especially more about like the pivot part. Like, how are you pivoting? Because we don't want to be siloed, and especially when we talk about this industry. I mean, it feels like you're a community manager. Well, what if there's no jobs in community? What if there's you can't find a job in this industry specifically? So the thoughts that I had are around that. And my first question is, what is your advice for how to talk about your community experience so that it lands with people outside of our industry?
Perfect question. And I think my third slide will literally answer that. And I think it just goes back to finding those transferable skills. So for me, I work from right to left, thinking about, okay, I worked in sales, I worked in talent acquisition, and now I'm working in community. I would say to work backwards and think of all the skills that you use within community. You know, we're leading teams, we are building, we're creating, we're hosting events, and use those skills and just think about all the different avenues and the different roles that either you're exploring or that you're interested in, and just really find how do those things connect. I think at a baseline, sales is kind of the foundation of so many things. And we spoke about that a little bit earlier. We see a lot of people pivoting from sales into recruiting. And I think I see a lot of people pivoting from sales into community work and even customer success. So I would definitely recommend finding a lot of those transferable skills that align with what you're doing now, and then transcend that into future opportunities that you're looking into. Because a lot of people don't even fully understand what even community work is, right? Like, you say I work in community, and it's like, what? Because it's so vast. There's so many different things that you can do. I feel like a lot of people here today spoke a lot about community from a product standpoint, and I spoke a lot heavily about events. So I think there's just so many different avenues that you can go.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I like the idea of like working backwards. One of the things when my partner was looking to change industries, I was like, why don't you look at a million job opportunities? Like, just look at every single job opening, write down the skills that they have in the job description that you like, that you're like, oh, I could do this, and like pick and choose, and then create your perfect job description, and then ask AI
I was just going to say,
what that job title is.
I was just going to say, you know, a lot of us have an advantage these days where you can literally take skills that you have, take different job descriptions, match it up, and it'll either let you know where you fit, or you can pretty much find a role that you had no idea even existed. And that's really a lot of, you know, the why behind a lot of the work that we even started doing with HuCapital, was really just to create opportunity for people that lack resources.
Yeah, I have a core memory from when I was in like grade 5 or something, and took a career aptitude test to tell me like what I should be when I grow up. And okay, so the first one was model. I got chimney sweep. I got taxidermist. Like these are this is a core memory for me because then when I grew up, I was like, I don't want to be a taxidermist, and nobody I know has a chimney. And it just feels like gone are the days where everybody fits into a box. And like really the titles and the way that we're defining roles like are are just changing all the time. And so we really need to kind
100%.
of define our own roles.
100%. I've even seen that a lot of companies are investing in community managers and leaders very heavily as of late, because I think there's just certain things that AI can't do. It's definitely a tool to assist us and help us, but there are a lot of human functions that AI can't do. And I think companies are definitely realizing the importance and the need for community, and a well led one at that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Magic. It's been such a pleasure to have you join our stage, and thank you for sharing your experience and your knowledge with us.
No, of course. If anyone wants to connect, please find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, all the things. The slides will be shared with all of you. And I look forward to connecting with everyone. Beth, again, thank you so much for having me.